All right, welcome into Hockey Sense, everybody. What's going on? I'm Andy Strickland. Thanks for hanging out. It's our Friday tradition here at Half Coast Studios, and we've got a great show for you once again. I apologize that we were not here last week. A little vacation time, a little R&R out to Colorado. Now we're refreshed and we're ready to go. Um, and I'm super excited about this show. Jamal Mayers is going to join us. A great conversation with him. We talk a lot about a lot of different things. If you're a youth hockey parent or a hockey parent, you're going to want to tune into that. But we get into a number of different things, NHL related, junior hockey related, and just a fun conversation with Jamal as we have each and every week. And then Tynan Lawrence, 11th overall draft pick by the Blues, makes his Hockey Sense debut today. And I'm sure we'll have him on many, many, many more times down the road. Excited to see his development, excited to see how he performs at the upcoming World Junior Showcase, and how he translates to a full season of NCAA hockey playing at Boston University. So I'm looking forward to that. We're not going to spend too much time here with our intro of the show today, primarily because we go along with Tynan, we go along with Jamal. So I want to give people an opportunity to get straight to those interviews. The Blues right now, listen, did you see the interview that Cam and I just did? Available on YouTube and everywhere else you get your podcasts with Connor McMichael, who just signs the 6-year contract extension, 6.75 AAV. So he's getting paid, put some money in his pocket, $40 million. And go to YouTube. You can watch every goal that he's scored this past season. You can watch every goal that he's scored throughout the course of his career. Somebody put them together. Whoever did that, we thank you. And, I don't know. I know he only scored 14 goals last season, but I like to focus on who the player is on the ice with. The fact that he's on the ice with really quality players gives you an idea of what kind of player he is and what kind of role that he had in Washington. I know his production was down a little bit, but he scored some beautiful goals. He's got very underrated speed. I think people maybe underestimate his speed a little bit. You'll see him right next to a defender, and all of a sudden, before you know it, he just blows right past him, and he's 4 or 5 strides ahead. So I'm excited to see McMichael. He's going to wear number 77, by the way. I don't know why we were talking about it on the podcast. I just couldn't think of other players who wore 77, including Nick Bukestad, who wore 77 last year before he was dealt to New Jersey. Love Nick Bukestad, by the way. Great guy. Big shout out to him. But yeah, Pierre Turgeon wore 77. Nico Mikkola wore 77. Sometimes you're just on the spot, man. If we're hanging out at a bar or something like that and you were to ask me, hey, who wore 77 for the Blues? Like right off the bat, I would say, well, Pierre Turgeon did. I'd say Mikkola did. And then it happens on the show, and I'm like, wait, what? I don't know who's worn 77 before. But Bukestad obviously is another one. So my bad on that. But I'm looking forward to seeing Connor McMichael. Now, the 83 being worn by Mason McTavish, that's going to be a little bit different. We don't see too many 83s in the NHL. And we've never seen one in St. Louis. That I can tell you. We've never seen an 83 before. And you got a number of different players who are new to the Blues. I'm excited about this Blues team. I'm curious. Drop me a comment of how you see this team heading into the season. Are people underestimating the Blues? My only concern is that they score enough goals, which maybe shouldn't be a concern. With guys like Neighbors and potentially even Buchnevich on the third line, who knows how that's going to all play out. Can you get real expectation from an offensive standpoint from a guy like Dvorsky, for example? Can he get to 20 this year and really start to establish himself as a guy that shows the hockey world why the Blues took him at 10th overall? And I can't wait to see what kind of step he's able to take. This is a big year for Dalibor Dvorsky, even though he's so young. It just is. I mean, just to show some flash, I think he did at times last year. But I like, Snuggerud with Holloway and Thomas. I know they got hot down the stretch. Can they put together a full season? Can Holloway put together a full season? Stay healthy, put together a full season. And I know we've seen it before from Thomas, but not just be a guy who is among the league leaders or among the best players in the league for a month and a half, 2 month stretch, down the stretch in the season, but truly put together from start to finish and be a guy who can flirt with 100 points. And the only way he's going to flirt with 100 points and get well over 90 is if that power play gets going, which they're going to need. They're going to need that power play to get going. So for Vinny Prospel, man, he's going to be the guy that is going to be tasked with that assignment. Get this power play moving in the right direction. More consistent penalty killing, which is so important. I don't worry about the Blues goaltending. In fact, I think Jordan Binnington is going to have a fantastic year. I think he's going to have a real bounce back season. I think the contract year, all of that, it's gotten his attention. Everyone's kind of labeling him as a backup, which he very well could be here in St. Louis. But I think he's looking to establish himself as a true, legitimate force who's still a top 10, top 15 goaltender in the NHL. And Joel Hofer, he reaches the expectation level that's set out for him. He should have a great season too. And defensively, Brandon Carlo, he's the wild card for me. What are they going to get out of him? Who is he? What is he? You know what I mean? Is he a guy that's here for insurance if Urasek isn't ready or can't get going? Or is he a guy that's really going to help his hockey team? I'll be curious. Another guy in a contract year. Limited investment, but a guy that Jim Montgomery knows and a guy that's played a lot of hockey in the NHL. So I'm good with that. But is he a 7? Is he going to be in the top 6? Is he a consistent player that's going to play every night? Assuming everybody stays healthy. Because I think Logan Mailloux is truly, no one even talks about him. I don't think people around the league even have a clue how good this kid is. And I think he showed it down the stretch. Logan Mailloux was the guy at this time last year, maybe a few weeks later, as the boys started kind of rolling into town. You get into August, and I'm texting some of the veteran guys, hey, who's standing out? Everyone's Logan Mailloux. The way this guy skates, man, people were so excited about him. And people forget when the season started. Last year was his rookie year. I think he had played, 8 games prior to last season. And things didn't get off to a great start for him. And it just took him that reset. Once he came back from that reset of going down to the American Hockey League, he just looked like a completely different player. And he is he's quality. And I think Broberg obviously is quality. Broberg, I think this is the year that he fully establishes himself as a number 1. He's going to have to increase his offensive production, which I think he can. But I think from a defensive standpoint, he can certainly defend against speed and against top players across the board. Lindstein, can he continue what he showed last season? This guy was way better than I thought he would be when he came. It's almost like he's better in the National League than he is in the American League. I mean, just a real talent when you watch how he gets around the ice and closes in on guys. And playing with Parayko, obviously, is only going to help him. So then you get Fowler. And you've got Carlo, but you've got Urasek there, and you also have Tyler Tucker. Tyler Tucker's going to have he'll find his way into the lineup too, because he does bring an element that you just don't necessarily have a lot of. You've got more of it now with Ross Johnston coming. So I typically don't like to do line combinations in July, and I'm not going to do that offensively. And we'll see how it all plays out. I'd like to talk with Monty, actually, and get an idea of who he's looking at to play with who. But I am excited, man. I think that's going to be a good team. They got a young team, and can't wait to see how it all plays out. I know everyone saw the news about the NHL partnering with a number of teams. I think 4 teams, could be more than 4. I think Anaheim could potentially be involved. If you look at the way the NHL has put on events in recent years, whether it's the Winter Classic or Four Nations, whatever it is. I mean, they do a hell of a job when they focus in on something and are dedicated to something. I think they're going to be really dedicated to how they're going to impact the fans' viewing experience when it comes to broadcasting. Well, I don't have all the particulars. I gotta get Chris Zimmerman on here in the next week or two. Um, but I want to wait for them to make their announcement of how it's all going to look. Uh, but I can't wait. I will say this: when people ask me, "Hey, what does it mean for the broadcast that the NHL is going to be in line and partnering up with some of these teams?" And the only way to answer it, and I really mean this, is that it's going to be better. It's going to look better. It's going to feel better. It's going to be different, but it's going to be better. And I know everyone's eager to hear of, oh, well, where are the games going to be? And I think you'll get all that information in due time. If I knew it, I'd pass it along. I really don't know what channel it's going to be on, but it's going to be available on cable. It's going to be available on a streaming service, and you're going to have a selection of games that are going to be available over the air too. So you'll never miss a game. I can promise you that. All the Blues fans out there, hockey fans who are fans of a team that was a FanDuel property and now is partnering up with the NHL, I can promise you one thing. You will never miss a game, and you'll never miss a goal. So from that standpoint, it is all good. Right? All good. All right, let's get to Jamal, and then we'll get to Tynan Lawrence, because we've got so much to get to and long interviews. Patrick Kane being back. We talked to Jamal about that. So there is some news that's happened over the course of the last couple of days. So we dive into that with Jamal. So I don't want to repeat myself. So let's do that. First Community brings us Hockey Sense each and every week. We love our friends over at First Community. We love Glenn Barks and everything he does for hockey fans, Laura Alfout, everybody. Just amazing people who truly are committed to not only enhancing your banking experience, but also your hockey experience here in St. Louis as well, man. They are truly, there's some people who say they support hockey and other people who really do support hockey, and nobody supports hockey more than First Community, and we appreciate the support that they give us here on Hockey Sense. Go visit a branch nearest you. Find a solution that works best for you and your finances. Which account is best for you? And they've got all different types of accounts. Vacation savings accounts, holiday savings accounts. They've got accounts for young people, youth savings accounts. They've got so many different things. So check it out. And, of course, that Little Blues program as well. First Community brings us Hockey Sense each and every week. Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop. Download that app and do it today with First Community, with Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop. If you live within 10 miles of a Dirt Cheap location, your delivery comes for free. They've got the best selection of beer, wine, and booze. They've got that walk-in beer cooler. I know how hot it was last week. I was out of town, thankfully. It's going to get hot again. Stop on in, walk inside the beer cooler. That'll cool you off. And you can just hang out in there. And they got the best selection of beer, wine, and booze, like I said, but also don't sleep on their party supplies. If you've got barbecues or kids that are leaving, back-to-school parties, anything like that, pool parties still before the kids get back into school, get all your paper goods and all your decorations and everything you're looking for and that you need from Dirt Cheap. The Wallace family, taking St. Louis to the next level, one dirt cheap at a time. Truly unbelievable. Great supporters of the Cardinals and the Blues here in town. And those Dirt Cheap locations are absolutely incredible, and we appreciate everything they do for us here on Hockey Sense. Lordo's Diamonds, get that special someone something special in your life over at Lordo's Diamonds. 314-432-8008. My daughter's about to turn 16. I think I might get her something for Christmas. She turns 16 in January. I think that'd be a great gift. Get something from Lordo's Diamonds. They just do an amazing job, man. And they make you feel like you're at home. They treat everyone the same. You can walk in there with a $100,000 budget, and you're going to get treated exactly the same as someone who walks in with a $500 budget. And that's what I love about Mike and Jimmy Lordo and Pat and everybody there with Lordo's Diamonds. Right next to Truffles in the heart of Ladue. Again, 314-432-8008 for Lordo's Diamonds, lordosdiamonds.com. St. Louis Lawn Care. stllawn.com. I love it. St. Louis Lawn Care. You know, they cut my grass. I always say it looks like Petco Park in my backyard. Just the lines are just so beautiful. The attention, the detail, everything they do to make my yard look great. But they don't just cut lawns. They got great services for aeration, overseeding, snow removal in the summer or the winter, I should say. Um, and whatever else you're looking for with your lawn. But they take unbelievable care of you. stllawn.com. Check out the website and see what service you're looking for, what you need, and they will find a solution and a program that works best for you. I want to pull something up real quick here because they truly are the best, and I got to make sure you guys know what I'm talking about. St. Louis Lawn Care. You got to know how to get a hold of these guys because they are truly incredible. Make sure you tell them that I sent you, please. I always ask you, just make sure you say, hey, Andy Strickland sent us, but get your lawn and all your services you need from St. Louis Lawn Care. 314-974-5911. 314-974-5911. But again, like I said, fertilizer program, sod installation, snow removal, mulch, aeration, whatever it is you need, they will take incredible care of you over at STL Lawn Care, baby. All right, let's step aside. And when we come back, we'll hear from Jamal Mayers and then Tynan Lawrence, the Blues' first-round pick that they got 11th overall from Boston University. And by the way, the St. Louis or the World Junior Summer Showcase is taking place in Windsor. I think there's some like renovations going on to the USA Hockey rink in Plymouth, so everything's shifting over to Windsor. And I know the Blues have like 3 players, a couple of D-men that are going to be representing USA. They've got the Gastrin kid who came over in a trade, who's going to be representing Sweden. Lawrence representing Canada. So a lot of Blues flavor at the World Junior Summer Showcase. Just look it up online. There is a streaming service where you can watch the game. So I'll be tuning in and watching those as well. So I can't wait for that. All right, Jamal Mayers, Jammer, then Tynan Lawrence on this edition of Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Stay with us. All right, Jammer's back, and again, we apologize. We were off last week, little vacation time, and everybody's got busy schedules, but great to get back in it. And the hockey never stops, Jamal, as you know. I mean, the World Summer Showcase is taking place starting tomorrow, I believe. Tynan Lawrence, I don't want to say Tyler Lawrence, but Tynan Lawrence, who the Blues selected 11th overall, will be there representing Canada. He's on the show today, so we'll hear from him. And this is an exciting time, man. I mean, there's so much going on. What was happening when you were 18? Like, were you this busy during the off season?
No, we didn't have the development camps, which was, I think, is a brilliant idea. It allows back then you had to maintain your eligibility, so you weren't able to step foot on any kind of professional campus. But I think that the concessions that they've made to give players an opportunity to gauge where they are, I just think it's information gathering, not only for the organization, but the players. Um, to get to be around the organization, to get to see how they operate, to see, quite frankly, how far away you are or how close you are. I think that information helps players. You're kind of, I was at college for 4 years. I kind of didn't know, I knew where I was relative to the rest of the nation in regard to college players, but in regard to pro hockey, I really had no idea what junior players were, what their level was. My first taste of it was at training camp at the National Hockey League level.
Yeah, you're going to have to. Ty's team actually is going to Western Michigan for a showcase, so I may have to hit you up before we go there during the All-Star break so I can actually go, which will be nice, and hopefully check out that facility there. The new building's not done yet in Kalamazoo, correct?
No, it won't. My understanding is it'll be ready the first part of 27. So It could be ready when you guys are there. That's it. It depends. They haven't given a definite date, but they just say like beginning of 2027.
I got to ask you this: the U.S. program. It's interesting because, for so long they just basically they could secure all the top American-born players. They all wanted to play college, so they were all going to the U.S. program, and then obviously transitioning into college. I mean, the exception would be for certain kids who would go straight to the NHL, like a Jack Hughes, for example. But most kids are going straight to college, and now the option to be able to go to the CHL and still maintain your college eligibility has some kids bypassing the U.S. program. How do you look at the U.S. program now moving forward? Do you think this is going to be a potential concern for the U.S. program as we move forward here?
I think it's a massive concern, and the way I look at it is this: I think it's by birth year. So if you're talking about the 2010s, um, the question's going to be: are they getting who's winning the race for the top six 2010 group, and where are they going? If they splinter and they don't all go to the program, then the program is going to suffer because of it. So I think it's by birth year, and every birth year is different. Let's say, for example, the 2011s. When you get to that birth year, if the top six kids, if three of them decide to go play major junior instead of going to the program's going to suffer. The success of the program, in my opinion, is hinged upon the top players going to the program. We have to understand one thing. That first year, especially when I believe it's a U17 team, they do a lot of losing. Okay.
Mm,
The sell that they have is that they get to develop. They're under the watch of the program. They're training and working out with exceptional coaching and program that's had the longevity and the track record of having success. But without the top three or four players, can you imagine having any success? Because last year, having known Bryce Salva's son was there, one of the things that he mentioned to me was, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn, is they do a lot of losing. And that was tough. A lot of those kids have never lost that much.
mm,
They're playing in the USHL with it, which is a essentially an 18, 19-year-old league,
right.
and the entire team is 17. So, they didn't win very many games. It's very difficult to feel like you're developing and improving when all you're doing is losing. And I think that the program is going to have a tough road ahead because you're competing now with real dollars where players are going to get incentivized to skip the program, go play major junior, and have the opportunity to continue to play while maintaining their eligibility to then go play college hockey. Because that landscape has changed, I'm really interested to see how they tackle it. I think that the NDL is one step in that direction that USA Hockey is trying to do to keep more of the US players uh, in the US.
Yeah.
One other thing that I'd like to see is some pressure from USA Hockey to college hockey, and this is coming from a Canadian, to pressure NCAA to limit the amount of Canadian they allow to play college hockey. And even if you limit that number to five, that's still a healthy number. But what you're doing is you're preserving the opportunity for American players to play college hockey because, the reality is if that continues to trend in the direction that it's going, you're going to have over half of the roster be Canadian coming from major junior,
Mm. And I would imagine you're not just limiting that to Canada, but for Swedes and Finns and Russians and whoever. I mean, you're going to see a lot of those
non-Americans.
kids, those import kids start coming over and playing college too.
I think the fear that I have is that you're going to lose the kid that bloom are late bloomers, right? The kids that develop later. The reality is teams, colleges are now plucking players out of junior that no doubt are better than players that are playing in those lower leagues. And I include the USHL and the BC League in that category. If they're taking from just major junior, well, then Who suffers? Well, I think the American player ends up suffering
Mhm.
the most.
Yeah, and now you have the 5-and-5 rule that's gonna be implemented where you only have 5 years to complete your college eligibility after your
I like
graduation
that.
date. You do,
I like that.
because
I'll give
we
you a quick
you
example. I'll
want
tell you.
college to be younger, right? Is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons. And I think what you're seeing is there's a massive trend, in particular in Minnesota. And we all know the popularity of Minnesota hockey, but I'll give you some context quickly here. We played in the Nationals, and this is a 2012 team. So our entire team is 2012. Every team is 2012. So we get there, they develop a program that has every team's um, age and birth year and grade in the book. Our entire team, except for four of our players last year, were in seventh grade. The rest of the team was in eighth grade. They will then next year be in high school in ninth grade. Okay. The Minnesota team, not one player on their team was in eighth grade. They had sixth graders and seventh graders on their team. Okay. They had players that were technically born by the time we were playing a tournament in March. They were born in the first part of the year. They were born in either January, February, or March, which meant they were 14 in grade six.
And so why is that happening? Explain.
Why?
Yeah.
Because they're delaying their entry into school because they want their kid to be 16 in
Mhm,
grade nine.
mhm.
But where they're going to be in trouble now with this new rule is they're burning a year of college eligibility because in their senior year of high school, where they thought it was an advantage to be 20 years old, they'll now only allow themselves to have 4 years of eligibility versus the five. So it's going to come back to bite them in that sense. But I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we are allowing 14-year-olds to be in grade six for the purpose of hockey, and then when we look on social media, we get a false sense, our kids get a false sense of success because we see a freshman who has 62 points in high school hockey in Minnesota. Well, no one tells you that he turned 17 during that grade nine year.
Explain why that player though would have only 4 years of eligibility versus 5, because 'cause isn't it
Because
based on the graduation date?
it based on 19.
Or
The
okay,
clock
it's
starts
one
at
or the
19.
other. I think it's based on either the graduation date or when you turn 19, whichever comes first. So you're
Well, it
right.
won't matter
Yeah,
if they're
yeah.
14,
No,
if they're
no.
14, right? So
Yeah.
they'll
So
be they'll burn a year.
yeah, um, interesting. The USHL, um, should they focus on becoming a younger league? I mean, they're and then, maybe the CHL becomes an older league. I mean, talking to some people about the USHL, like, hey, let's make it a 16, 17-year-old league where if kids are going to jump ship and go to the CHL, maybe they're doing it at 18, versus a kid coming into the USHL at 18.
I really like that approach, and I think that it would take some collaboration, right? No one wants to be the team that does that. It's still a business. But I think if you have five or six teams that come together and say, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do this together, then you're all in the same boat. And then you're growing it together and you're making a change that now you become attractive for younger players to go to those programs because that is the path. And I think that you're definitely onto something that if you don't do it in a collaborative way, I believe that it'll be hard for just one team that really thinks and believes that that's a great idea to do it on their own because they have owners, they have fans. Because when you do that, you're gonna struggle, right? But if you do it in a very thoughtful and pragmatic way, and you have a partner and you have allies that are doing similar things for the right reasons, then I think you can make that happen.
Hmm. Yeah, because you're seeing so many kids now with that option to go to the CHL, bypassing the USHL, going straight to the CHL. I think if you make it a 16, 17-year-old, it's almost like, hey, that's the next step. You go to the USHL, and the CHL is still waiting for you if you want to go that route before you go to college.
Yeah, and then I think honestly, it'll strengthen the USHL because why would you go somewhere else for one more year? Those players will typically have already committed to their college, and the college team will probably tell them there's not no use in you going to play in the OHL or the major junior for one season. Just stay where you are,
Hmm.
and you'll come straight from there to college.
How do you think it's changed the CHL approach to recruiting players? I mean, I'm talking to some parents now and hearing about parents who are leaving the U.S. program, for example, because they're going to the CHL teams, and they have resources too, and they've got facilities. I mean, some are better than others, but obviously there's a number of teams in the CHL who have, um, certainly stronger facilities than maybe what you might find in the USHL or even at the U.S. program, and it's just and a lot of times, listen, they'll pay for the parents to come and watch for a week, 6 weekends, you can have that built into your contract. Hey, 6 weekends a year, they'll pay for the flights for the parents to come watch. Everything's kinda taken care of and paid for. I think that's the biggest one of the biggest issues, I think, when you look at the rival situation between the CHL and the US program. I'm really curious to see what kinda adjustments the US program makes, and coaching is going to become more important than ever at the U.S. program, where maybe they could have gotten away with mediocre coaching in the past. I don't think they can do that now.
Oh, it's a great point. I think that those are real issues and real problems that they're encountering, and that there's smarter hockey people that are making those decisions, that have the foresight and vision to make those adjustments. And listen, I think USA Hockey has taken a step forward. Quite frankly, I think that we might be looking at all the negatives, but there's certainly a lot of positives. And I think, in a lot of sense, Canada and other countries are looking at what the US has created as a model for what they should have done 15 years ago, and are playing a little bit of catch up.
Well, I think the reality is the Canadian teams that they're after the American player. I mean,
Yeah.
the success of USA Hockey is what has all these CHL teams and the Canadian teams chasing these American players and trying to steal them from the US program. I just still think there's something to be said about going to the US program and playing for the NTDP, and I mean, you look at the history of it and everything. But it's interesting, man. I mean, hey, you see it at the youth hockey level, Jamal. I mean, there's some kids they play for 4 or 5 different programs before they even get to junior. So, you know, they're constantly
Yeah,
jumping ship.
that's right. So you know what? I think one thing, if there's parents out there listening, the most important thing for me, I think, is that you play at the level you're supposed to play at that time. There's no sense in chasing a level that you're not at. So if you're at the NA2 level, play at the NA2, North American, play at that level and dominate that level.
Mm,
If you're at the NA level, play at that level and dominate at that level. If you're at the USHL level, play at that level and dominate. If you're an exceptional player at 17 and you can dominate at major junior, then go play major junior.
mhm,
I think that this game is predicated on confidence. I think, I firmly believe that playing where you are can have success is more important than playing in a better league.
mm,
And I think that you'll end up developing more, being confident, being the player you're supposed to be, versus chasing what you think is the best league you should be playing in and just surviving.
mm.
I think that that'll all work itself out. Either you'll make it or you won't make it. But I think most importantly, I've seen so many different examples of kids doing so well and dominating wherever they are in an NA2 league, and then all of a sudden they're in an NA league and they skip that USH altogether, and then they're a dominant college player. Um, it's more important in my opinion, to maximize your talents and play at the level you're currently at and have success.
Yeah, and we'll move on from this, but I'll be curious to see if
Yeah,
the kids who leave bypass the US program to go to the CHL, if those players are penalized down the road,
they always are. It
U8
has
U18 selection, World Junior selection.
historically they have, right? And I think that the negative for that player, I think that's unfortunate, first of all, but I think that hopefully in the future won't be held against them. I think that um those opportunities, I don't choosing a different path doesn't make you less American.
Mm.
And so I think that they need to revisit that as they go forward. The problem is they have so many different options and it's so deep that they can make those decisions.
All right, so I'm curious. Let's say ages 10 through 14, Jamal, and I'll say 10 because my kid's 10, so we'll start at that number or that age. Um, what's the appropriate amount of time during the summer they should be on the ice? And I was talking to my kid skater this morning at 6 a.m. I was talking to one of the coaches, and I still hear some old school thought from some parents who, played at a high level and but it's been several years since they played, and their mindset is, "Hey, put the bag up in the summer, go play other sports," and that's what we did. And I think back in the day, you could get away with that because everybody was doing the same thing, so you weren't falling behind. But if you do that now and everybody else is skating all summer and working on their game all summer, where does that leave you when you return in August when practice starts?
That's a great question. I think that first of all, I think the most important thing is you follow what your kid wants to do,
Mhm.
and you should never have to push him to do stuff in the off season, and that's a clear indication, in my opinion, that you're doing too much. In the same respect, you also have to limit some of the things that they're doing. I think gone are the days where they could put their bag away and not open it up. I think there needs to be stretches throughout the summer where they don't get on the ice, where there's 2 weeks where they're not on the ice. And there also needs to be frequent touches, and that means twice a week. Uh, so you're getting on the ice, but you're not overtraining. And then as you get to 13 and 14, I think the importance has to go to working with guys like Crash and understanding the fundamentals of fitness and getting to know your body and your weaknesses and understanding whether I have tight hips or is my alignment correct? Do I need to get strong in this area? And that's all about becoming a better athlete. I think the focus in the summer should be that. There were times where even this summer with Crew being 13, we had to pull back from some stuff. He literally, I have 4 weeks of camp and he took a step back for 2 of those weeks. Just have to watch and listen and see what's going on with him and realize, okay, even though he thinks he can be on the ice 4 days a week, we're pulling him back. He's not going on the ice this week. And then this week, he's only going on twice a week.
Mhm.
I think you have to adjust as a parent. You have to have a plan and um, listen to your kid and listen to the professional like John Beanie that are out there doing the work. Um, but I also do believe that gone are the days where you can just put your bag away in June and July and pick it back up in August. I think those are gone. Um, I don't think you need to skate every day. I think there's a cadence twice a week. 1 week, take a week off. Twice a week for 2 weeks, let's say. Take a week off. Twice a week for 2 weeks. That's probably enough.
Yeah, and Tynan Lawrence, I mentioned his name before, but again, he's gonna be on the show, and I talked to him recently about this, and I even asked him during the interview, "How many days a week are you on the ice?" And he said 5 or 6, and "How long you been doing that?" As far as he can remember, he's been on the ice 5 or 6 days a week in the summer, so it's just like, but I think, what the main point you made is you gotta know when to pull back and read your kid, what's best for him. We just went on vacation for a week. I mean, it's the greatest thing ever. 'Cause it almost forces them to have to pull back, you know? And my daughter she's just, a machine when it comes she cannot stop working out. She's always working out or training or whatever, and she didn't have the option. She didn't bring her soccer ball with her. She couldn't do it. And I just think it just refreshes your mind. Then you come back, and I just feel like you're ready to rock and roll again, but I think that break is important too.
Absolutely. I think that creating that balance is the most important thing. And I think that, it's tough because as a parent, you want to provide and give your kid all the opportunities. You look to your right, you look to your left. Kids are doing all different kinds of things. I think it's our job, quite frankly, to pick and choose and not feel like you have to chase.
Mm. Patrick Kane is returning to Chicago, gets a 2-year deal. $8 million per year, and I hear some people saying, $8 million is too much. I mean, not when he's gonna be selling all those tickets and jerseys and putting all that money back in the organization's pockets.
Yeah, I texted with him yesterday, and he's super excited, and it's nice for him to get to go home. Not surprised. Everything he does with his contract, it seems like I think he signed an $88 million extension, and now he signs 2 years at eight. I mean, what's with you and Ace? So yeah, he loves that number, and you know what? I think that he's going to end his career where he should, where it all began. And, it's unfortunate that Bedard's going to be hurt for the first month or two of the
Mhm.
season, but it'll be pretty magical to see what they create on the power play, especially.
Would you give Bedard the C with Patrick Kane there for the next 2 years?
That's an interesting question. I think that, I think it could go either way. I could see giving Patrick the C for one season and then in the second season they give it to Bedard.
Hmm.
I could also see a scenario where they give it straight to Bedard and Patrick elects to mentor him. So I could see it go either way. I think that, you know, Patrick leads in different ways. I always said this. Johnny Jonathan Tays was more fun than people tried to say he was, and Keener was way more serious
Mm.
and dedicated to the craft than people realized. And so I think that Patrick leads by his habits. They'll see when he gets out there 40 minutes before practice and he's working on his game and he stays on the ice and all the things that he does to keep himself ready to go. I think that there's no better example than that, and that's the way he leads. And not to mention stepping up in the biggest moments. But I'm excited for him and his family being back where he should be.
Yeah. Well, he's been doing that since he was a little kid too. I mean, the stories about how much skating and how much time he was on the ice when he was younger is pretty notorious. You ever seen him get hit? What's the hardest hit you've seen on Patrick Kid?
Only when he bumbled or bad pass or he tried to hold on to a puck that was not a good pass. Would he ever get hit? Never seen him get hit when he had the puck.
Mm.
Right? Like, and I remember when he first came in the league, I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna run this kid over. And he always had an innate ability to move the puck before, like I was still coming, but I was like a second late, and he
Mm.
just can't. Then it's late. It's a late hit, and so he's just so smart on when to get rid of it. Never put himself in a bad position. Um, Super smart. That's why he's going to be able to play. I believe he'll be able to play till 40 if he chooses to do so, but and still have success. I expect him to have 20 goals, 40 assists, 60 points. I think is what I project him to have, perhaps even more.
Couple more minutes, and then we'll let you go. I know you have other stuff to do today too. Um, well, first off, because you were a guy who loved to finish your checks, was there ever anybody who you would not hit? You'd leave him alone.
No, no.
If you saw Gretzky, or whatever,
Well, I know
Mario.
I miss. Well, I would never be on the ice with Mario or
Well,
Gretzky,
you may,
first of all.
you might.
But
Hey,
no, that was my
Cam was
indication.
on the ice with Ovechkin. I think he scored a goal one time with Ovechkin on the ice. So, I mean, eh, things happen during the course of a game. You know that.
Yeah, no, I think that. Listen, I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to run over Wayne Gretzky or Mario Lemieux, and I think Mario's got
Big.
3 inches and like
Yeah.
25 pounds on me. I don't think I could. You have to catch those type of guys that are bigger. I always thought it's all about timing. You have to catch them when they're not ready, and you would never see him not ready. So
Yeah.
I was on the ice when he was on the power play, but it was basically
Yeah.
him saucing it through my legs or like making us look silly.
Yeah. And Yager is just so strong. You're not moving him. Really.
Well, good luck, Forsberg. Sakic, you could never get to.
Really.
Eiserman, even on one leg, was too smart. Like, yeah, I played against those guys, but and Modano couldn't catch him. Like, of course, there were some guys I caught Fedorov one time, but he was in Columbus at the end of his career.
If that doesn't count, if he's not in a Red Wings jersey.
That's right. So there's a few out there you might be able to find on the internet. But Solani at the end of his career caught him a couple times. But yeah, I don't think he took it easy. I hope I didn't take it easy on anyone.
I want to get your take on real quick on the Carlson contract. Jason Robertson, $12 million. Eiserman stepping down. I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff still happening.
Yeah, I think Eisman's decision is interesting. I think we'll see if that affects what Larkins decides to do. Robertson, I'm shocked that he signed a 1-year deal. Very risky leaving, you know, multiple, like $80 million on the table. Could have went to Seattle. We'll see where that goes. He'll likely be traded this year, even though they act like they're gonna re-sign him. Why wouldn't they have done so? What's the other one?
Carlson at 18 million, because now you've got Quinn.
Yeah.
My bigger question for you, last thing for you, is Quinn Hughes still has to sign. There's some other business that needs to be taken care of. Gauthier, who's got no rights, he can't even get an offer sheet, so he either stays home or he's going to have to come to an agreement with Anaheim, and we'll see where that goes. But are teams going to be able to have an 18 $17 million? I'll be curious. I look at Carolina, how they've got all their players locked up. Florida, all their players locked up. No one's making big time money in comparison to what some of these other guys are making. You got Bedard now making 15. I'll be curious how they build around these players that are making $15 million and more.
I think what teams are going to do is they're going to have to like listen. Minnesota has to overpay to get those things and get those players to stay. Right? It's a different. There's a different formula that they have to work with, and so I think that Billy G understands that and is able to make his roster work in that respect. I think that other teams operate on a different thing. I think Anaheim made a tactical error in not addressing something very important and keeping their structure. They didn't think that that was possible, and now they're going to have to overpay the rest of their lineup. They're not gonna be right at where Carlson is, but it's going to drive that number up by 2 million for every one of those guys that they're going to have to resign, and that's just going to make it more difficult to keep those players. So, I think GMs are so smart; they're ahead of it. They're going to look at their roster, they're going to evaluate, they're going to try to get ahead of it so that doesn't happen to them. And I think that sometimes it means you're going to have to pay a player 15 million. And even though you think you should pay him 12, I also think that it's hard for former players to imagine a guy making 15 million. And so I think that sometimes as a former player, you look at it and you're like, how is that even possible? Like, and so, but that's where the market is, and you have to follow suit and have other people around you that advise you that this is where it's going, and we have to get in line.
All right, good stuff, Jamal. I enjoyed it today. Who brought you to Hockey Sense?
Well, first of all, you've got Dobbs, great people, over 40 locations around town. Doesn't matter what you drive, a car, light truck, van, SUV, hybrid, or EV. They'll get your car in, evaluated. And most importantly, when I've had an issue with my tires, you go in there, they'll be honest with you. They'll say, you don't have to replace all four. Well, let's replace these two. You can wait 3 or 4 months for the other two. And they'll get you in a tire that's within your budget. And most importantly, they'll get your car in, up, fixed, and out the same day. Go to Dobbs.com for more. They always have great deals.
I love it. Who puts the eye on spa? What are you using the most right now, by the way?
Oh, well, we just got ours hooked up and we don't have water in it yet. I'm putting water in it on Sunday and so excited to get that done. Got them coming over on Monday to teach me how to work everything. And I got the old dry sauna, the old, Finnish type sauna, 6-person sauna. I've got a hot tub, can't wait to use. And I've got the Chili Goat cold tub for 1 person. So I've got my whole routine mapped out. Hopefully we'll be ready to go and up and running it. And, the best thing about it, Spas and More is a local master spas dealer with 2 locations, Sunset Hills in Missouri and Overland Park. Mike Leahy's the owner. His daughter runs the show there. Angie Hess does a fantastic job at the Sunset Hills location. Spas and More offers high quality hot tubs, swim spas, cold tubs, and infrared saunas for all of your health and wellness and relaxation needs. Turn your backyard oasis into the oasis of your dreams with a master spas from Spas and More. Spas and More located at 12957 Gravois Road in Sunset Hills, where we put the in spa.
All right, Jammer, thanks as always, man. Great stuff today.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Thanks, buddy. All right, so that was Jammer. Great stuff with Jammer. We got Tynan Lawrence coming up. And don't forget about First Community, who brings us Hockey Sense each and every week, all year long. We don't take a break here on Hockey Sense. First Community, sign your son or daughter up for that Little Blues program. It's the best program going. To introduce your son or daughter to the game of ice hockey, do it, and do it today. With the Little Blues program, all your equipment comes when you sign up. So you don't have to go to the hockey shop and decide what you need, even if you don't even know, you're confused, it's overwhelming. They take all of that out of your hands. You don't have to worry about it. And that's what I love the most about the Little Blues program, ages 4 through 9. If you have no organized hockey experience, come on out, and great coaching on the ice and a great way to find a way to fall in love with the game. And more importantly, you can decide as a parent if they really want to do it. So before you go out there and spend a lot of money, I don't even want to say how much it is. There's an Instagram account out there right now who's telling you how much it costs to play for all these different programs. And it is expensive. But before you want to make that decision and make that investment, find out if your son or daughter even likes it. What better way to do it than with the Little Blues program presented by First Community, who also brings you the Blues Hall of Fame, and so many other things here in St. Louis. Nobody supports hockey like First Community. Glenn Barks, we salute you. Laura, everybody over there at First Community, the entire team. And they've got great banking options too. All different types of savings accounts and different ways to save your money and use your money the right way. Stop on into a branch nearest you and talk to somebody from First Community and see what they can do for you. Blue Note Roofing, you see the sign behind me, 314-920-5713. Call David Novak today. David was telling me that the mailman tells him, hey, I hear the boys talking about you. I'm like, yeah, and for good reason. He's the best in the business. 314-920-5713. If you have storm damage, hail damage, you need a new roof, gutters, soffit, fascia, whatever it is, siding, they will treat you like they've been your best friend for 25 years. That's how good they are over at Blue Note Roofing. They are the absolute best, man. We love our friends over there at Blue Note Roofing. Better get Mako. Mako and Kirkwood. That's the location to go to. I mean, Mako, they've got so many great people who have been around for a long time and obviously have a ton of experience and all of that. But it's even more than that. It's the fact that it can give you some peace of mind. At Mako in Kirkwood, I mean, they've got like over 70 years of experience. So if you have any dents or any paint damage or whatever, just take it in. And they focus on drivable cars. So they want you to be able to drive your car in there. They don't want totaled cars that need to be towed in and you can never drive again. That doesn't do them any good, because if anybody's ever gone to Mako and Kirkwood, which I have, you realize how quickly they get to your car and how quickly they get it back to you. Nobody wants to be without a car for a couple of weeks. And so that's why they focus on drivable cars. Mako in Kirkwood. Check them out today and find out why they are truly the leader in the industry when it comes to all the different things that they do over at Mako. Because nobody does it better than Mako. You hear the commercials. Better get Mako. I know you hear about that. And they are truly incredible people over there. The whole staff. Mako in Kirkwood. All right, we're going to step aside. Tynan Lawrence joins us next. 11th overall draft pick, headed back to Boston University. Before that, he's got the World Junior Summer Showcase coming up. I think he reports on Monday in Windsor, Ontario. Great conversation with Tynan. Really enjoyed it. I think you will too, and that comes up next year on Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. I'm Andy Strickland. Thanks for hanging out for our Friday tradition here at Half Coast Studios. All right, Tynan Lawrence, 11th overall. Hey, when you get drafted 11th overall, do you ever look up to see what players in the NHL and history have gone 11th overall?
A little bit. You kind of just go back to see if any big time names recognizable, little things like that. So it's kind of cool to see.
All right, so give me some.
I don't know any off the top of my head. I remember right after I get drafted, I scrolled through past couple of years, but I haven't looked at it, since then.
I know. I should have looked it up. We got some good ones, though, man. Jerome McGinley.
Yeah.
Anze Kopitar. Philip Forsberg. Shit, there's a bunch of guys. Jeff Carter, Kevin Fiala. Tynan Lawrence is on here, too. So you're on the list, man, of guys to go 11th overall. But congratulations. It's great to get you on here, Tynan, and chat with you. How are you? How's your summer been since the draft?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me on. It's been pretty good so far. Just back home, kind of relaxing. Getting back in the kind of the groove of things, skating, working out, just kind of trying to get ready for next season after all the draft stuff is done.
All right. So, what is your routine during the summer? How often do you like to get on the ice? How often are you in the gym? You got personal trainers, I imagine. Are you training with a group? Are you by yourself? What are you doing?
Mostly groups, little small groups, not too big groups, but I'll work out probably 4-5 times a week, and I'll skate 5-6 times a week, depending on if it's later in the summer. I'll skate more than earlier after the season, but I try to do a good amount and try to stay in shape. I feel like it's a big thing.
Yeah, I was just talking to a dad just now. That's why I'm a minute late getting to you, Tynan. I don't like to be late, but his kid plays in the OHL right now, and he's just looking for more like shinny type skates. You know, they do so much individual skill stuff. You know, he wants to get his kid out there and move the puck around and be able to jump and run and gun a little bit and get into some action. So, do you try to balance it? Do you try to get into some skill sessions as well as trying to get some game like, environments too?
Yeah, I feel like it's all about balance. Just, a couple ice times, more kind of individual skills as we're kind of skating, and then maybe once, 2 or 3 times a week, you kind of do games, little scrimmages, little things like that. Just kind of not going full out, but just kind of like doing summer stuff to in games and seasons. So it's pretty nice having that.
All right, so you finished the year last year at BU, and so now you go into the summer. Like, where's your focus? What are you trying to get better at, or are you just kind of doing the same routine that you've always done and just trying to improve on everything?
Kind of just the same I've always done, just try to improve on, everything, just whether it's, skills or skating or, in the gym, trying to get, stronger, more powerful, just kind of all around, just trying to do the same thing that's kind of always worked out my whole life and just continue to build on that.
All right, so who'd you grow up playing with? I need to know more about your background. Like, who were you playing with growing up, Tynan, and what was your youth hockey, minor hockey experience like growing up in the Canada area?
Yeah, I always played, back home before I moved away to prep school at 14. I always played, minor hockey here growing up, normally 1 or 2 years older every time. The spring hockey, I always played kind of a year up. So all my buddies back here are all, a year older than me at least two, or, a couple of my brother's buddies are, 5, 6 years older. So just being able to skate with them, that's definitely a huge help. Just always skating with older guys, learning from them. I feel like that's kind of brought me a long way. And then once I, got old enough, first year high school, I moved away to kind of get more opportunity to, to skate and work out every day just because, over in Fredericton, you practice 2 times a week, you play maybe twice a week, and then you kind of nothing else to rest on your go. So I feel like moving away was a big help. Just being able to kind of skate and work out every day and, play probably double the amount of games is, overall for my development was, very big.
Did your brother play too?
Yeah. Yeah. My brother grew up playing too.
Is he still playing or no?
Yeah, yeah, he plays over in Europe now. He's been in, I think this is his 4th year in Europe. And just
Okay.
kind of, he's been in a bunch of different leagues, so he likes it.
All right. So what's the scouting report on him? Is he an offensive player, or is he a defenseman?
No, no, he's a a skill winger. He's center. He's a little bit smaller than me, but he's fast. He's really creative. He likes to put up points. So I feel like that's his game.
All right, so you're growing up in New Brunswick, right? I mean, and you went to Jake Allen's hockey camp growing up. I keep forgetting to ask Jake about his hockey school because he's a goalie. You'd think he'd have a hockey school for goalies, but I guess it
Mhm.
allowed outskaters too. So how'd you get hooked up with that?
Yeah, kind of just always with the university here, he kind of just always skates there, and always had these mini summer camps growing up. So just going out there and being able to skate twice a day, kind of seeing him, meeting him, listening to him talk, it's kind of it's pretty cool to see someone from your hometown be able to have the career that he has. And then it's kind of it's come a long way, especially now, especially this summer. He goes out and skates, and I'll go shoot on him a couple times. So it's pretty cool to see how that all comes around.
All right, so how do you end up at Shattuck St. Mary's to play your U14 year? Like who presented that to you? And when you first when it was first brought to the table, like what was your reaction? Because you're a young kid. Like, were you ready to leave home at that time?
Yeah, I feel like I always was. I always kind of wanted to kind of move away and explore hockey and kind of see hockey outside New Brunswick and kind of Atlantic Canada on the East Coast. So being able to kind of move down there, see all the U.S. kids, meet a bunch of new players, get to see all the best kids from kind of around both countries was definitely big. And just being able to kind of learn and kind of live on your own. There's still help there, but you kind of on your own. You have dorm parents, but you're on your own time. You got to wake up, do all the little things yourself, eat. So I feel like going away and kind of learning that at a young age really helped.
What'd you learn about American hockey, the way the boys play down here under the border? Like, were you a little bit surprised? Like, were you shocked at the level of talent that's down here, or did you already know?
No, I feel like growing up, I always went to like Boston and kind of East Coast Connecticut for little spring tournaments. So I always knew they were pretty good. And then once I went to Minnesota, you kind of open your eyes to see, Americans are also really good at hockey, and you kind of, obviously you get to see all the skill that they have. And, it's pretty cool to see that it's not just Canada, it's also, everybody all around. It's, pretty unique to see.
Are you headed to Windsor for the summer showcase? Would you be there for that?
Yeah, I leave Monday for that.
Okay. All right. I figured you were, man. I should have looked that up beforehand, but
Yeah.
how excited are you to be in that environment and showcase your skills there?
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's gonna be a good opportunity, kind of play against the other teams, other countries, and then also get to learn and play with other guys across Canada and kind of get to see from them and how they do it and kind of be able to make new friends and kind of see the game that way. So it should be super exciting.
When you go to Shattuck, like, are you aware of the history that they have and all the guys that they put out, they produced? I mean, from Parisi to Crosby to Taves to Jack Johnson to Clayton Keller. I mean, the list goes on and on of all these kids who have gone there. Did you know all of the history before you got there?
Yeah, I think I did just because of like you said, Crosby, McKinnon, kind of both growing up on the East Coast, Atlantic, Canada. So when I heard that name, it kind of sounds familiar. Then when you look deeper into it, you see all the list of names. So it kind of just makes you want to, go there more and just a bigger reason of why they're so good.
Hmm. Have you met Crosby or McKinnon or no?
No, I never met either of them.
Okay. You will one day. You know
Yeah,
that. You'll know that.
hopefully. Yeah.
How far away do you think you are from playing in the NHL?
Um, I'm not too sure. I feel like I got to see how this year goes and see how I do. Personally and as a team, and maybe another year after that, depending on how everything plays out, and it just depends on how fast I develop. Where I am and my process, and you don't want to rush things. You kind of want to be able to step into and be ready to go and kind of hit the ground running. So I'm not too sure though.
All right. So you tore it up in the USHL the year you guys won the Clark Cup.
Mhm.
Like, describe that league. Like, what do you make out of the USHL? Because, a lot of kids, obviously, from this area, they move on. They hope to get drafted into the USHL. They play in that league. We've had a ton of kids out of St. Louis who have ended up there. So, what do you make out of the USHL?
Yeah, I think it's a really good league. Really high development. There's a lot of great players that come out of that. You got the Fantillis, the Celebrini, kind of guys like that. It's more similar to college hockey. I think just how hard it is, how structured every team is, and every player's got great skill, but it's also every team's well coached and everyone's working hard. So it's not like any team can kind of win any game. So you kind of got to show up on every night and kind of prove it that day.
Who has your CHL rights? And I would imagine they were trying to get you before you ended up leaving to go to BU, right?
Yeah. Shakutami and the Q did. They had my rights.
Yeah, Crosby's old team. So you said no. I like going to BU in the middle of the season. Like, we don't see that happen too often. Like, how did that play out? Like, how did you end up all of a sudden waking up one day being in Muskegon and then the next day
Yeah.
you're in Boston?
Yeah, it was all happened, pretty quick, especially with, BU and how, they really wanted me to come in and kind of help out their team. So I feel like that was a big process for me. And then once I kind of, took a while to think about it, but kind of once you agree to it, it happens, very quick. You got to do all the school forms, kind of get enrolled in the college, the dorms, packing your stuff, flying across, the country to back to Boston. So it's, it was a pretty crazy couple weeks, but I felt like it was, awesome, a very fun time. I was, very thankful for everything that Muskegon did, and just being able to kind of show up and kind of learn from the guys at BU were also really great.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to call it a risk, but I mean, you showed a lot of confidence in your ability. You could have just stayed at Muskegon and put up 60 points, 65 points or whatever, right? And who knows, maybe even get drafted a little higher, even though you were projected to go really high all along, over the course of the last few years. But were you looking at it like that? Like, how did you approach it? Like, why did you, embrace the challenge of wanting to go play college?
Yeah, I think it was more so just, outside the draft, it's kind of my player development, being able to kind of challenge myself against the older, bigger competition. I feel like that was one of the big things was, I feel like I'm a better player now than, after if I stayed the whole year in junior hockey, which is, I think, a good thing to take away. And I can, take what I learned the last couple months in college and kind of bring it in the next year is, when I go back to school, I'm not really a new face. I'm familiar with, all the little things that go into, living in dorms, a few games, a lot of practices, little things like that. Just I feel like I'm already adapted, so next year I can just hit the ground running.
All right, so Tynan, break it down for me. Like, the year leading into the draft, like, what's that like being in your position? Are you searching Instagram on a daily basis, seeing where everyone has you ranked and rated, and what this guy is saying, that guy is saying, going online and reading all the stuff? Like, how hard is that to avoid and not kind of buy into what everyone's saying about you?
Yeah, I feel like, some guys look into it pretty carefully, but pretty obvious, if you scroll on Instagram, you're gonna see, one or two things about you. So, you kind of inevitably gonna, read a couple things, but I, never really found myself kind of scrolling and, seeing everyone's opinions and looking through everything, just kind of going about my day, trying to do the best I can that day and kind of help my improve, whatever they might say. So I feel like that was kind of a big thing, just kind of stay focused and not pay attention to got all the outside noises. Definitely a big thing for me.
What do you want to accomplish this season? Like, what's your personal goal? I know you're going to have team goals, but what's your personal goals this year?
Yeah, I think just continue to improve. I feel like that's obviously a big thing to be someone that my team can rely on. That has trust in everyone on their team and the coaches, and being able to a guy that can kind of win your team games and also help everyone around him get better. I think that's a big thing that I want to do, and continue to do that all year.
All right, so there was talk about you potentially going in the top 5 first overall. Like, was there pressure that you felt when you were hearing those types of things? And how satisfied were you, even though you dropped a little bit? You still went 11th overall to a great organization. So how excited are you in terms of how it all played out?
Yeah, I'm pretty, satisfied. I feel like I never really, obviously, as any kid wants to go as high as possible, but at the end of the day, you still, drafted to the NHL, and it's, after the draft, it's kind of all reset. You gotta, you're back to work. And now that the draft's over, there's no matter what team you're drafted to, there's a bunch of, different prospects. You gotta kind of earn your spot too. So I feel like it's, a good opportunity for me to see that.
How was prospect camp here? It was a little different because you guys didn't skate. Would you have rather skated like and get on the ice and showcase your skills, or were you okay, going to first form and doing all the other stuff that you guys did here?
Yeah, I feel like I would have liked it either way. Maybe, skating a couple times maybe would have been nice, but it was also pretty cool to kind of see the kind of the city and everything it kind of has to offer, and just the little things, in the community that were, other sports teams, and, the first form, like you said, just going to little places like that and kind of doing activities was also really fun. And it's kind of a chance to kind of get to know the other prospects and kind of build a relationship. So it was, it was actually really fun. I liked it a lot.
All right, so give me a couple guys who you knew before the camp that maybe you hung out with, and somebody you didn't know that you became close with, like that maybe you're keeping in touch with now.
Yeah, I feel like well before I knew Maddox Dagenet, just from playing against him and then playing on past teams on Team Canada with him, I knew him pretty well. And then I didn't know him that well, but Colin Ralph, he was at Shattuck at the same time I was, but he was a couple years older, so we were on different teams. So just being able to kind of catch up with him was pretty nice. Him and Fisher was also, two guys that kind of hung around with a lot. I got to know both of them pretty well over camp, so it was, it was a good experience overall.
How much research have you done on the Blues organization? And
Um,
what have you learned about St. Louis, Tynan? Give me some facts.
Um, I know it's kind of a a pretty not like a more blue collar city, kind of a hardworking city, more than other cities around. I feel like that's kind of a big thing. It's a big music city. I knew that just because of uh, you know, development camp and all that stuff. And then I also kind of paid attention to the cup run when Jake Allen was on the team and kind of little things like that. So I have a bunch of blue stuff already here, just kind of following him around. So it was nice.
Has Jake reached out to you? And if so, what has he told you to expect about being a Blue?
Yeah, I reached out, texted me right after I got drafted. Congrats. It's a, great organization. And then I've also seen him a couple times skating with him in the summer, being able to shoot on him. So he just says it's a great city. You're gonna love it. The fans, the players, kind of the whole organization, just the way they go about it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's one of the best in the NHL, and you're gonna have a fun time being there. So it's kind of nice being able to hear that from a guy who's been there and done that there. So it was nice.
Yeah, he's one of our favorites, man. I hope he comes back to St. Louis. He keeps signing like 5-year deals, though, like at an advanced age. I'm like, you keep signing these long contracts. Are you ever going to come back and maybe be part of the Blues one day? But a lot of people respect him, man. There's no doubt,
Mhm.
inside and outside of the organization. But what I was saying, like, what have you learned about St. Louis? Drop me some knowledge. I'm really talking about the Blues organization. I'm curious what you learned about the Blues. It was good what you said about the city of St. Louis. So you've done your
Yeah.
research there, but what do you know about the hockey team that you hope to play with one day?
Yeah, I know it's kind of a young and up and coming team. Just got McTavish. Yeah, he's got Snuggerud just coming up. He's I saw him play in college hockey a bit, and then He was also an unbelievable player. And then McTavish is also a new guy who's pretty sick. So I like that. And then, obviously Bennington, who's a unbelievable goalie. So I feel like it's going to be a exciting year this year to watch you guys play.
Yeah. Have you did you meet any of the guys? Any of the guys come over during camp?
Um, Not really, not too many were around. Maybe I think Pareko was around training. Other than that, it was kind of just all the players there, kind of doing their own thing, and then obviously the staff, like Keith Kachuk was there. McGinnis, kind of a couple of those guys were pretty cool to meet too.
Legends, man. Those
Yeah,
some iconic names, and then you got the big boy Colton Pareko, who's maybe the nicest guy. They're not all that nice, just so you know. He's
yeah,
like the nicest guy you're gonna meet, Tynan.
yeah.
But most of them are pretty nice. There's no doubt. So when do you head to BU and get going with the Terriers?
Yeah, I think I get there. I think the 21st through the 23rd, like the last week of August, and then school starts the following week, and then we have a month of training camp, just going to classes, practicing, and then anchor season starts first week of October, so it should be pretty fun.
How many recruiting visits did you go on, and how'd you settle in on BU? What made them the number one choice for you?
Yeah, I went on a three. I went to BU, BC, and then North Dakota. Those are kind of my top three. I don't know. I just kind of obviously every school is very great in their own kind of way. It's all top end programs across the country. I felt like just when I toured BU and kind of met the coaches, kind of saw the facilities, the players, kind of how they played. I just kind of the gut feeling that it felt right, and it's where I want to go and play college hockey. And the coaches have you know obviously you have a great coach in Pando and kind of keep playing long time in the NHL, and he's kind of proved he can develop players into NHL players with kind of Celebrini and Hudson and kind of all those guys coming up. So at the end of the day, it just kind of felt right. Just felt like I really wanted to be there more than the other schools, and I just really wanted to kind of be a Terrier and go to school in Boston.
Yeah. It's a great choice. We've had Jay Pandolfo on, man. We'll get him on again during the season. We'll check in on you, Tynan.
Yeah.
Let's see how everything's going with you over there in Boston, which I know it's going to be going well. How far is Boston from home? Like if your parents want to come watch you.
It's like going. It's only like 6.5 hours, six
All right.
hours. It's not too bad of a drive. So they'll come down a pretty good amount, I assume, again next year. So it's nice.
Easier to get there than Muskegon or what?
Oh yeah, Muskegon's like 2 flights and then 3 hour drive. It's not too.
No, I know that's not easy. It's not even easy really to get there from St. Louis, to be honest with you. So last thing for you though, man, like what was the message to you from the coaching staff and management? I'm sure they met with you
Mhm.
at prospect camp. So before you left St. Louis, what did they tell you?
Um, just kind of obviously they say congrats about the draft, and they're really excited to kind of have me in their organization. I feel like that's a big thing, and then just for the upcoming years, kind of focus on yourself, focus on continuing to develop as a player, and uh, try to help BU improve and kind of get back to where they were, and then we'll see what happens later on. And I feel like that's a big thing. They just want me to kind of continue to develop myself. Don't worry about too much about the the outside noise and all that. Just kind of focus on where you are and have fun with it.
Yeah, I love it. You always put up points though, like in the USHL, like I mentioned, Shattuck, you put up a lot of points. Like, how important is the offensive production to you? Because everyone focuses on your ability to play that intelligent two-way game, but are you looking to further establish yourself offensively?
Yeah, I feel like obviously I want to put up more numbers next year, especially that I'm kind of used to the environment and college hockey. I feel like that's a personal goal of mine, but I'm always kind of worried about just playing the game the right way. I feel like if treat the game good, it'll treat you back good. So I feel like just not cheating for anything, but also being able to kind of put up the numbers and help your team out offensively is also a huge goal of mine.
Okay. I hope you come see us, man, when St. Louis comes to Boston. Come to the rec
Yeah,
or whatever. Let's get you on during the game and catch up then, man. So we'll be paying attention. Congratulations on everything, and I know Blues fans are excited to see you. And have a great rest of your summer. Best of luck at the summer showcase representing Canada in Windsor. Do your thing there, and we'll be in touch, man. Thanks for doing this.
yeah, I will. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
All right. I hope you enjoyed Jamal. I hope you enjoyed Tynan. Just two fun conversations, great conversations to have here in the middle of summer. And I'm excited to see what Lawrence does this season. You want to see that production be elevated a little bit, and it will. Like, it's tough to walk in as like a 17, 18-year-old in college hockey and produce, but this guy obviously can do it, and the Blues saw enough of him in terms of what he brings to the table, just in terms of his work ethic and his skating ability, his two-way ability, to where they made the investment in him. Can't wait to see him play this coming week, and then obviously next year with the World Junior Summer Showcase. So I look forward to that. Just really impressed with the kid, though. Does a good interview, and that'll be the first of many, like I said, bringing him on here with us on Hockey Sense. Hockey Sense brought to you by First Community. Check it out today. FirstCommunity.com. Find a branch nearest you. Blue Note Roofing, 314-920-5713. Lordo's Diamonds, St. Louis Lawn Care. I said Blue Note Roofing, but again, David Novak, let him take great care of you. Insurance claims, you have them. They're the specialist when it comes to that. Storm damage, you need a new roof. He's there to take great care of you. Easy Tiger Cannabis, EasyTigerAZ.com. That's the website. They've got the top shelf products, man, whatever it is you're looking for. You have a medical issue, sleep issues, talk to one of their specialists and let them take great care of you and find a product that works best for you. Recreational needs that you may have as well. And they take unbelievable care of you. Located in Arizona, but they'll ship anywhere, and they will soon be available nationwide. EasyTigerAZ.com. And we love it, man. All our friends over there with Easy Tiger. EasyTigerAZ.com. Lordo's Diamonds. Frontenac Detailing. I'm taking my car in. I got a little chip on my window. And so it's in the Frontenac Honda dealership. There is, and it's separate from Honda Frontenac, but it's Frontenac Detailing. Google that. Go see Jim. This guy is incredible. They do everything outside of detailing, which they'll make your car look brand new, which they certainly can do that. But in addition to that, they do a lot of different services, dent services. They will fix chip windows, like I said. So if you have a window issue, then, I mean, it's they'll take unbelievable care of that as well. So great stuff there from Frontenac Detailing. Take your car in there, make it look brand new. I had the wax coating put on my car too, and it looks like it just came off the lot over there with Frontenac Detailing. Call Jim today. Google him, you'll find him right there in the Honda Frontenac dealership. And then St. Louis Lawn Care, again, the lawn care specialist, STLLawnCare.com. All right, for everybody affiliated with this edition of Hockey Sense, I'm Andy Strickland. For Aiden, for Tynan Lawrence, for Jamal Mayers, all of us reminding you to keep your head up and your stick on the ice. Have a great weekend. We'll do it again next Friday as we always do. Our Friday tradition continues here on Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Thanks, everyone.